Stefan, I think the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Thank you. That's a typically title when you ask a professor to do a presentation. Sorry about that. So I have learned in this morning already, and thank you for all these great presentations that we heard until now already. I have heard that we have that tribe of virtual production people, and I'm very glad that I today can throw in a new toy into that tribe. So this is all about working together and collaboration. What I do is I today present what we are currently building in our university, and that is meant to be used by you as well. So let's connect after that presentation and do collaborative work and research. So first, I wanted to start with my life in 2 slides, just to understand me a bit more. So this is my life until I did my diploma. I was very glad growing up with a correct computer system. So what others call retro was my childhood. Okay, I'm old. I digged into music also, and then came in 3D animation. So that's my main thing that I came into. My diploma was at Fraunhofer, and I worked on real-time computer graphics. That's 2 decades ago, and I'm glad that we are now finally arrived at a point where we can use it. So I waited a long time. That's my professional career before I got into the professorship. Did 3D animation at a post-production company, and it was for me always like pushing limits. I did photorealistic visualization when it was a hard time to do this with all the render stuff and all the limitations. I went into 3D stereoscopic while James Cameron was doing the Avatar shooting and helped in doing the first German production in stereoscopic images. And at Rohde & Schwarz, where I was responsible product manager for Clipster, I helped to bring up the Hobbit to life with 48 frames per second. So whoever hates the 48 frames per second 3D in Hobbit, blame it also in parts on me. Thank you. IMF is something that I helped to pioneer with the SMPTE together and Disney. And it's now the most used standard for Netflix sharing their video material. So also that was part of my work. And just to sum that up, my career always was like pushing limits, trying to find things that are new to me. And one thing that's also common in my mind is if I know something, how it works, I'm bored of that kind of technology. I want to proceed and go to the next one. Now I'm a professor, and I know I don't create any tools anymore, but what I can do is use innovative technologies in university education. And when I started my professorship, we have to build up lectures. It takes some time. But at some point, I started to figure out that I have to advance in that field again. So what I did is, okay, in case of real-time of computer graphics, and I saw that virtual production is what I want to really dig into, okay? So, and that brings me to the point. The idea was, let's create a state-of-the-art VFX lab for purposes and completely overload that thing with all kinds of applications that you can also put into that. So that will be fun. So, in 2022, I joined the advisory board of the SMPTE Rapid Industry Solutions On-Set Virtual Production Program. SMPTE is a Society of Motion Picture and Television Engineers. And in 2022, in the same year, I did my Epic Games Fellowship. There were other folks here that did this also. We all went through this fantastic hell, I think. That is a great program. So in 2023, I took some people from our university over to the Halo stage in Babelsberg, close to Berlin. Most importantly, I took our chancellor with us. And if you don't know structures in universities, the chancellors are the people with the money. Okay? So there was a quite sense behind it. Finally, we decided to build that. And we built it in Lippstadt, which is in Germany. Okay, so, but where? I will come to that point. That was the first question here. If you're going to do virtual production, why do you put it into in German you say Pampa, into a place where nothing else is? So, okay, let's come to that. This is our beautiful campus. So it's not bad, it's quite a new university. And the location is there. So the red dots points where we are. You see that it's not too far away from here. So Breda is a trip with a car. You can be there in 3.5 hours. So we are reachable and we are connectable. That is where we are, and we are surrounded by some media technology companies. There's, for example, Riedel, which is doing all the broadcasting stuff for Formula One, for example. There is Bertelsmann. You may know Arvato or Bertelsmann Music Group. In our hometown, there is Hella. Hella is a car light manufacturer and car parts manufacturer, so you may know them from racing. Most obviously, they produce all the headlights for cars in Germany, for example, and they invent a lot of stuff. So we have some tend towards lighting and light measurement. So, and this is what we have there. We have already laboratories that can very precisely measure light fixtures. For example, that is a robot arm. You put a light fixture on it. There's a 25-meter channel where at the end of the channel there is the light probes and measuring light intensity and spectrum. And what we can do is we can measure all kinds of devices in 360 degrees. So the important part here is, and that's where we are heading to, is we can put a light fixture on that, but give me a LED panel and I do the same measurement in that, in terms of shift of colors and intensity, spread, and so on and so forth. So that's what we already have there. The department that I'm working in is the computer science and computer graphics, animation, and game dev. That are expertises that we have in that department where I work in. So the question for me is now where to put an on-set virtual production stage. So I am located in Lippstadt, but of course I was thinking about, is that the right place to put it? And I came up with the solution for me in a place where the technology and the computer science are established and the system can be operated efficiently. I talked with film universities and they said, yeah, we don't have the technical people, staff to run such a system. So maybe it's good at our place because we can just run it and then doing collaborations and networks. And that's exactly the process that I started to build these networks prior to starting the project. The first network that we started is with the SEMT student chapter, and that is a part where I would gladly help you to join also into that. We're doing a lot of networking stuff with our students, guiding them over the IBC, for example, and the network of student chapters is this here. You can see that they are spread worldwide. In Germany, you see 3 spots. This is our network, combined between our University Hamm-Lippstadt, the University of Media in Stuttgart, and the Rhine-Main University of Applied Sciences. There are several folks up in the UK, but the rest of the European Union, well, there are spots that could be filled with these chapters. So approach me if you want to join that network. SEMT is doing standardizations, it is doing education, and it has this really wonderful network of about 6,000 professionals working in that industry. Okay. We also are launching collaborations with film academies. Currently, we have a contract already in development. The first filming is scheduled for July, and we are already doing joint research applications. There are several out there, and one is already approved. So we have that prior to starting our lab. So that guarantees that that VFX Lab is not built without any planning, but it is built on an idea about collaboration. So what is that lab? That is the vision, what we want to have achieved there. It should be a multi-purpose studio, not only for virtual production, but also for motion capture, for broadcast applications, for multi-channel audio. Thanks for that brilliant master thesis presentation that we just saw. It was an idea that I also wanted to cover, but hell, okay. Good that you did it. Yeah, so we planned several applications. Also, we want to have low noise operation, and there is, of course, a light measurement device in that room, so I just have to make sure that it's still there when I've finished with the construction of our studio. So what we did for doing our selection process of individual technologies to understand why I come up with the technology that we chose. For example, take that motion tracking or motion capturing system. So first, thinking about virtual production, I go for camera tracking, and there are multiple options that I can apply for. Then second, I'm a professor for 3D animation and visual effects. For me, animation is good. My colleague is doing game development, and there, of course, the full body motion capturing is interesting. That narrows down the systems in that case. And there's another colleague of ours who is doing biomechanics. He needs the accuracy of medical grade because he has to really find out small shifts in movement and so on and so forth. And that at the end narrowed us down to one single system available on the market to go for. Okay, so our pre-planning, because that is a huge project, took some time. So we started back in 2022. In 2023, we had a 200-page bill of quantities. We had an EU-wide tender. If you are not known for that project process, it really takes a long time to build all that and to make sure that everything works. So finally, in November 2023, we gave the contract to ICT, and we also equipped with 4 additional planning offices. And whoever wants to do such a scale project, always keep enough planners close to you to have enough people thinking about what could go wrong in such a project. So the design phase, we have a room which is smaller than that one, not too much smaller, but we have to be careful what we can put in here. We want to have a U-shaped LED wall and an additional mobile wall. So plus some stuff more, because we need lighting, we need a camera, tracking system, motion capture, 360-degree audio, and so on and so forth. So that's what we want to have and put into that studio. And well, that's the room. And I learned something from the BUAs. It is not the best idea probably to, if you want to shoot cars, to drive it through a restaurant. But in our case, there's just a window, so we tear down the wall and put in new windows so that we can drive in the car there. So change the building for that. Okay, there's a lot of cabling that we have to do, of course. We completely tear down the climate control that was existing because it was too noisy, and everything is now a little bit bigger in that part, but it's like very silent system. And important, in the area where the LED should be put in, everything is moved as far to the ceiling as possible to make space for our wall that we want to include there. And the thing is, that is the state before we started the installation. Installation started on Monday this week, and I'm here, so okay. They are sending pictures, that's good. And they are not done within the next 3 weeks, so that's fine. I will be back to see the LED stage running. Okay, so that's the current state. Some details. The LED wall is 19 by 4 meters as U-shape. And the specs are like 100 hertz is with 12-bit, and we can go up to 144 hertz. With that main wall, it's 1.5 millimeter pixel pitch. One important fact is we are going to a system and invested in a system where we don't have polygonal curve shape. We have real curves in our LED wall. That is a special ICT and infrared panel construction where we defined exactly what LED we use and so on. So it's like a custom-made product for us. The technology is running on Brompton on the receiver side and on the controller side. And it is prepared for 702110 in our case, because we have that replacement of the old controller and the new controller already included in the project. That is a special deal we have with Brompton on that case. Okay, we have a mobile additional gate, and that is a prototype painting on that. It's running? Yeah, it's running. Okay, that is just a prototype image of what it should do. We want to have a gate that you could tear down like a door. And in this visualization, they went up 90 degrees, but 90 degrees is really a problem about the weighting. So we changed that a bit for our construction. We went with something which goes to 60 degree. But at the end, that is our experimental gate that we can move around and do special shots and lighting situations with it. This one has a little bit shifted design. It is going up to 240 hertz, which allows for some research stuff. For example, it's a great HFR demonstrator for our students to see where the difference in different frame rates are. But interestingly, this also will allow us to shoot, for example, slow motions with 120 frames per second. Also, it introduces another LED controller. This is controlled by a NovaStar. So being a university, I think that is okay, but yeah, in a normal studio context, having several kind of controllers would be not the ideal version. So that is our setup here. Working with Brompton, we have made sure that thermocal is there, so there's goes too much into detail, but if the LED warms up, there might be a color shift that is prohibited by their technology, so we are fine with that. We'll see where this works out. And the controllers as listed, Brompton, NovaStar, and of course there's a megapixel. Okay, so The megapixel is due to the fact that we also use, like here, the KinoFlow mimics. And well, that brings us this, because again, learned from here, also there are points where you have to use an LED ceiling. In our case, I said, if that's true for here, and we are so close to the BUAs, let's do another studio at our side, and we use the mimics as top lightings to have real light, with the difference that we can't shoot cars, for example, because there is a break in the reflections at the ceiling. Okay, so additional lighting, we have some ARRI stuff going on with some SkyPanel X orbiter, the orbiters as a Fresnel lens, and additional mimics on a stand. And we also have across the complete ceiling and from the front 14 Fresnel lenses which are fixed, built into that studio. They are still shiftable, but that is like you have some light from above additionally already pre-installed. In terms of the camera, we put in an Alexa S35 with some signature prime lenses and a zoom. For grip, we are going with Panther so that we have enough stuff to work with the camera. And what really, I don't want to do shootings in a virtual production stage without parallax moving. I want to have the camera be moved so that I can see the parallax. That's why I like virtual production. And so that's why the grip is so complete here. Okay, I said it's multi-purpose, and thanks for that presentation about audio. Yeah, there is audio in there. So we have some surround speaker system included with an acoustic curtain where we can completely shut down the part of that U shape so that we have a separated room, and still in that separated room we will have a Dolby Atmos 7.4.2 setup. If you open the gate, then of course there are more speakers. And we have also the option to put speakers at the floor to pull down the center, the vertical acoustic center, if we just want to do a film presentation or something like that. Otherwise, when you are shooting virtual production, there should be no speakers at the floor, of course. Okay, in regards of tracking, I already explained the process. It's, in our case, it's Vicon system. It's a Vicon system with both their softwares, so Shogun and Nexus are running. And we have the FaceWare facial capturing system 3 times so that we can have 3 avatars talking together and record that. Okay. For the biomechanics part, there are additional measurement systems of movement, for example, for gait analytics, where people just walk along a specific floor with pressure sensors and so on and so forth. So that's the part of multi-purpose usage. Okay, render core. We have 9 render core nodes there, which are all equipped with the A6000 ADA, all pre-equipped with 702110 capable 100 gigabit cards, because that is something I really wanted to go with that project into 702110. At the end, it's not available yet for all the processors and for all the products. So we ended up in having both. We have the complete multiplex system for going HDMI and SDI, as well as going to 702110, because 702110 is currently not reliable in our eyes. That is the contribution of the individual systems. We have 5 of the cores running the main wall, 1 is running the mobile wall and the KinoFlow lightings. Another one is there for an inner frostrum 702110 streams. Where is Adrian Weber? You make sure that this will work. Okay, so there's one special machine which is for the broadcast station that is running the VisRT system, and there's one spare for a video overlay, so we can record from the camera with the virtual production and then put another overlay on top of that. So we have 3 workstations also as artist stations for the brain bar, and then there are systems that are pre-existing in Audio University, like our 230 terabyte storage. That's our media asset management, and a Filmlight Basslight, which is also sitting then on top in the brain bar, so for grading purposes. So being a bit faster now, we have a separation of our studio and the render core, so because that stuff makes noise, everything is set into our server room with some fiber optic cabling running there. But we have also a lot of access still inside the studio to get signals over to that server room. There are some additional systems, of course. We heard already about Studio Sync. We have 2 of the brainstorms, 1 in the studio, 1 in the server room. We have the media technology server, some audio format conversion going on, of course, SMD2110 switches to have that available, and then, of course, the matrix routers for HDMI and SDI, both worlds. So we are in that progress of migration, but not yet there. So on this slide, there is one thing that is a little bit brutal, but we are not the only big project that was in that phase when we were getting that money for this project. There were more projects going on, and one is a direct neighbor. So just imagine, this is 3 racks full of technology, and there's that next rack, and that is that next rack, an AI neighbor with some decent equipment. It is not our project, but it is directly connectable with just a cable of 20 centimeters. So that will open up some interesting research possibilities also. Okay. Sustainability, something which is also very important, of course. Our university has a 450 kilowatts photovoltaic system on top of the roof, so we can run this, and we implement it in the build process of our stage measure points. So we can measure how much energy is the LED wall taking, how much do the render nodes take, and how much is the additional light in the studio taking, so that we can have a controlled situation where you can always see we get so much from the sun currently, and we use so much of the energy to balance that out and be, well, sustainable as possible. Like the joke is currently, if the sun is shining, we can show the desert. If we have no sun in the sky, then we are shooting space. Okay, so and this allows for the applications when we start the system. So this is what the ICT has to show when they then in May give the system over to us. Virtual production should be demonstrated, broadcast studio running VisiT, motion capturing for games and medical measurements, cinema and 3D cinema. I'm coming from that space, so I need 3D cinema. We still have a real D system then in there. Color grading is in there, flexible audio. We have that sustainability argument then, and of course we have a room for conferences and presentations like this, which is also a big benefit. So there will be conferences, but not interfering with the virtual production gathering, not in the same time frame at all. In the initial installation, we will run Unreal Engine. We have talked with the people from Chaos to have Project Arena also installed. VisiT is in there, and Pixera from AV Stampfel. So that is what we run. Now, quick about research and education. What we are using this instantly for, which is already pre-made, and where we are going. So we did the application for one project together with 2 other companies in Düsseldorf and the University of Media in Stuttgart. That project is set. It's about running time 3 years, and it starts in June. It's an EFRA project, so a European and co-financed project with our state, North Rhine-Westphalia. And it's about $2 million. It's already granted. And we are waiting for approval for one other next in NRW EFRA projects that is done with a film academy in Germany and another company, and also an Erasmus Plus program, and which is the follow-up project for the virtual production network that already was shown here. And we did this with Boers and other friends, of course. Well, we will use the system in different lectures, in courses. We have courses for 3D animation, audio and video technologies, visual effects, media technology, and game dev, and that will be started in May already. So it is said that we will run this, and there will be also a complete new course of studies, but that will start in 2027. Will be an international course of studies, completely English, so that everyone can participate in that. And that's the current state that we have here. So there are a lot of companies involved in this, of course, but at the end, this is not about the technology that's there. It is important to understand what I'm trying to achieve here, and we with our colleagues there. We will have a system that allows now currently to use state-of-the-art technology, and we offer that in collaboration to everyone to just join us and learn with us in this technology. So if any one of you wants to come over, please feel free, just connect, and let's see what we can do with the system. We already started collaboration work, and we are glad to share this, what we can do with that system. Okay, so we are ready in May. Currently, it's the build-up process right now in this moment, and here are my contacts if there are any questions and when you want to connect. Thank you.